to problems that are even yet to be found, and several ways make sure that the future is brighter for not just them, for even those that are yet to be born. And on the back of that, we know she'll be taking a quick trip to Cape Coast to meet with the chiefs and people there, and then also do the regular visit to the tourist site, and then try and see the connection and linkage between the U.S. Migration, the human rights, and then also the fact that people who are our ancestors who were shipped away several years ago just to pay homage at the Cape Coast Castle. Now, on the back of that, we'll be bringing you several other stories here in Ghana. And then the big one for this afternoon has to do with the fact that there has been another canoe accident on the Volta Lake, which has killed 8 people. It is the second time in 2 weeks that such an accident has happened on a water body. We will be giving you details of it in a jiffy. Later in the bulletin, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin wades into the ongoing anti-LGBT plus debate as he vents his spleen on the Constitutional and Legal Committee of Parliament. We'll tell you his words in a moment. Now, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is calling on government to stop the introduction of the obnoxious taxes, as it argues that businesses are overburdened. And on your screens you can see that Finance Minister has also been to China, is trying to reason them to cancel or at least allow us to be able to secure an IMF deal through their assistance. And on the international front, we're told that 3 children who were killed, including 3 other adults. The latest is that the US school shooting where these incidents happened, the individual involved has been arrested. I am Martin Esiedudate. Let's settle for the details of our stories now, and we are going straight to the Oti region, which will be our first port of call, because at least 8 persons have been confirmed dead in a canoe accident in the Oti region. A total of 11 persons were on board the canoe when the unfortunate accident happened on the 27th of March, which is Monday, out of which 8 people lost their lives. According to the assemblyman of the Wuringa electoral area, all the bodies have been found after a recovery mission carried out earlier today. This comes few weeks after a similar incident that took place, another boat disaster that took place around Azizanya in Adan, where as of now we are unsure of how many people have died, but as of the last count, 5 persons had died in that Adan accident. So we would want to get a few more details of this particular accident. Joining us on phone is the assemblyman of the Wuringa electoral area, Francis Yaobio. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for joining us on TV3.
Good afternoon, sir.
Are you able to tell us or confirm the number of people who have died so far? You're saying 8. Is that the final number, or you've been able to find more?
That's the final number. There are 8.
8 of them. Okay. What caused the accident? Do we know?
No, not win. Not win. No.
You don't know what caused the accident?
The accident, not win, but rather, the number of people are more than the canoe that you are going with. Yeah, so the canoe was too small for them to occupy.
Okay.
So there were 11 people in the canoe, including the one driving.
Okay.
So making 12. So they are more than the canoe. The canoe was too small.
Okay, but how many people? How many people does the canoe? Can the canoe take?
Okay, probably looking at they are supposed to be 6.
6. Okay.
In the canoe. So they are more than the canoe.
Right. So we know this is not the first time such an accident has happened. How regularly or how often do you see some of these things happening?
Okay, that place actually, because they don't cross that. It is not a river. It is a river branch. So that place, they don't normally cross there because only the fishermen, they do fish at that place. So because where they are performing the funeral is closer to where these people live. So
Okay.
they, because and that is the shortest way they can use to cross. So the fisherman that boy was doing the fishing, and they saw him and they called him that he should come and help them. Not that they normally work at that place.
Okay.
They don't work at that place.
Right.
That's just that they want help from that man.
Okay, but officer, so tell us about safety and security on the lake. As the assemblyman of the area, do you have safety equipment like life jacket, and how often do people use them when they are crossing the river or the lake?
That's what I say. Because where they have been crossing, for that place, we have life jackets. We have those using this engine boat and other canoes. They have life jackets. Because you know those places, they normally cross. People normally cross to other banks.
Right.
But this particular place, that's what I say. Because they don't cross that place. They don't cross there. People don't go there. But just that they are just closer to the where they are performing the funeral.
Okay.
They want to help them. That's why.
Okay.
But those working with the engine boats and other things, they have their life jackets and everything.
Okay. Thank you very much, Francis Yaobio. But have you had any assistance from maybe NADMO or the Ghana Police Service? How are you undertaking your investigations?
Okay. Yesterday, the NADMO officer, though not officer himself, but he's also working there. And then the policemen also they went there with the NADMO, the NADMO officer. So they went there, they all witnessed what happened. So they were doing something about it. They even said today we are going there to go and tell them that nobody should cross there again.
Okay.
Because nobody is working there because they don't know anything about that place.
Okay. Right.
Even where I'm talking about, it's not even far because some even went back to swim to cross without using canoe and other things. So the agents, everybody was surprised to see something like that.
Right. Mr. Yaobio, thank you so much for your time. Francis Yaobio, Assemblyman of the Wuringa electoral area in the Oti region, giving us an update of the unfortunate boat disaster where 8 people died out of 11. We are told that they were just crossing to a funeral grounds, which is the other side of the river, and unfortunately they lost their lives. However, investigations are currently ongoing to ascertain the cause, which he says it is currently unknown. We would update you when we do get some details on that. You're still watching Midday Live on TV3. Let's go to Parliament now, because the Speaker of the House in this afternoon's bulletin has been venting his anger at the Committee on Legal and Constitutional Affairs and Parliamentary Affairs, I should add, to work expeditiously to have the anti-LGBTQI bill passed. Speaking at a breakfast meeting for the Parliamentary Christian Network, Alban Bagbin also took a dig at the U.S. Vice President who is visiting Ghana for the next few days, that's Kamala Harris, over her comments on the LGBT being a human right that must be respected.
I was so happy when I read that Pope Francis directed
I think we're having a slight technical challenge. We will try and get you the exact words of the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, who's been speaking about the LGBTQI issues in Parliament. You know that yesterday President Akufo-Addo spoke about it. The U.S. Vice President visiting Ghana also spoke about it. Let's speak to Komla Kluche now, who is in Parliament, for what exactly even triggered that kind of conversation, that line of conversation. Komla, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us from Parliament. How did all of this conversation start with the Speaker, showing or expressing such anger about the delay in the works of the Legal and Constitutional Committee?
Well, Speaker Bagbin, anytime he has the opportunity to speak to the Christian community, has at every time he's gotten that opportunity to talk about the anti-LGBTQ bill that's before the House currently. There's been a lot of talk. You know, we listened to some of the sponsors of the bill, specifically Sam George and then the Christian community, who have said that they do not see why there's been delay in the passage of the bill, especially when it does appear the public memoranda and the soliciting of ideas from the public, you know, has ended. The Attorney General, we know, has given an opinion on the matter, which a lot of the sponsors of the bill have disagreed with. But at this meeting that the Speaker has had with the Christian community, which, I mean, he does, you know, at the beginning of every other session, but this one has delayed mostly because of how the House has been busy. The Speaker had the opportunity to speak about this and express his displeasure, especially at the fact that he's drawn the attention of the chairman of the committee on why consistently the report is not being brought to the plenary for them to take a decision. What it is that it's had the first reading, the second reading is expected to be had. Nothing of that nature has happened. And he feels that it's so to speak, one attempt either by the chairman of the committee or members on the committee not doing enough to bring the report for the House to take a decision. It's not a hidden fact that the Speaker wants the bill passed into law. We know that he vehemently, you know, disagrees with anything that has to do with LGBTQ. But the decision does not lie with the Speaker for him to have the bill passed. Of course, he's only a referee, but his position on the matter has been known publicly, and that at every given opportunity, even when he went to the Far East, he had to speak on this matter just about 2 weeks ago, which was applauded. But this one has angered him because of the press conference that Kamala Harris had yesterday, together with the president, which she said that it's a human right to be respected. And the president gave the response that
we certainly know that the head of the committee or the chair of the committee must have been responding to this. But before we come to you, whether or not he had the opportunity to respond or answer questions from the Speaker, let's hear exactly what the Speaker himself said at that breakfast meeting.
We need to legislate. Our friends just passed their law in Uganda. We may not go the way they have gone because our constitution is very clear as to the direction we should move. And so we'll be guided by that. Because if we pass any law against the constitution, it's unconstitutional. So we have to do that. And so what are you afraid of? If you have the whole people behind you, if God is with you, who can be against you? And if God says, please go into the wilderness, multiply and fill the world, that is God giving you that command. If somebody says, please, don't multiply, how can that person be strong? I don't only speak this way in Ghana. Even at the last meeting we attended in IPU at Bahrain, anybody who listened to my speech, there were sentences on this matter. Luckily, maybe because it's a Muslim country, they applauded me. If they're somewhere else, they will be asking questions. As the Vice President just did, is it yesterday? I mean, these things should not be tolerated. That is undemocratic. What is democracy? That somebody else will have to dictate to me as to what is good and what is bad? Unheard of. Because we have decided to devalue ourselves and go a begging. Come on. We have more than enough. God has created more than enough for every person. It's just because you are looking at somebody else's share. not yours. We have enough in the world. The bill will be passed. This is the word to His Excellency the President. There is no way he can intervene. That answer he gave. That is now before Parliament. And when he gets to a stage that he will come in. Hey, please. This is legislation. This is not execution. Wait until we pass it and then we direct you to execute it. That is why you come in. That is why we are representatives of the people. So in terms of law, which is part of policy, we finalize it. And then the executive now have the authority to implement it, to execute it. Let's get this clear. Once this bill is before here, he is not in charge. I am in charge. I hope the U.S. Vice President is not yet gone.
And that's Speaker of Ghana's Parliament, Alban Bagbin. And Komla, let's wrap up on this particular subject. And very briefly, if you may, so did the chair of the Legal and Constitutional Affairs Committee have a response for the Speaker?
Absolutely not. He wasn't at that the breakfast meeting that was had today. He was at the instance. This particular meeting was at the instance of the Christian Fellowship network of the parliamentary service that has some MPs on it as well. But many have been wondering why the visiting VP of the United States would not have come to Parliament actually to address the nation, to the representatives of the people. Presumably, they have been indicating that, well, if this had happened, if the U.S. government had come or had allowed the VP Kamala Harris to come to Parliament, probably it might have been confrontational because of the strong opinions that has been expressed by the Speaker on this matter. Maybe the reason why she chose just to go and then address the nation just about some 200 meters away from the legislature. Well, these are concerns that some MPs equally have been raising about this, but nonetheless, the Speaker's position is that the bill will be passed. Absolutely.
Komla, thank you so much. Do not take leave of us. Just hold on. We'll certainly be coming back to you shortly because a lot is happening in Parliament, we know. But we're going back to the Independence Square here in Accra, or the Black Star Square, where Kamala Harris, the U.S. Vice President, spoke a few minutes ago. My colleague Aisha Yakubu Khalid is there and has been interacting with a number of people there. So, Aisha, so give us a sense of how the place was before she came in after her address and what's happening at the moment.
We're here at the Black Star Square, where thousands of people, mainly students and also creative, witnessed U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris give a resounding speech on good governance, on digital inclusivity, and also women empowerment. She was really, really heavy on giving women a seat at the table to take decisions with men, which also mostly sometimes involves them. We're just going to get the thoughts of two creatives as well. I'm starting with Mama Lou, who is visiting in from the U.S. as well, to tell us what she makes of that particular speech. Mama Lou, tell us, what do you make of the speech that Kamala Harris gave?
I've been here 27 years in Ghana, and one of the things I liked about her speech was inclusion. We need to be inclusive with our youth, and we need to be inclusive with our women. The thing that she said that captured me was that we are the future. As Africans, we have the youngest group of people. So if we don't get it together here in Africa, the world is not going to be the way it should be. So we as Africans are the change that we want to see. I like that. She talked about the economy and us being innovative in our ideas, innovative in our technology. That's important because as creatives, we must use technology as well. But we can't just throw away the creatives. We can't throw away our artists. We can't throw away our designers. We must include them in the future of the continent. And so there you go.
Right, Mama Lou, thank you very much. Also, let's engage Chief Moomin. He's a creative. He's a very known poet whose sister, by the way, also gave a very amazing speech also on women empowerment, on journalism and women inclusion and all that. I want to take his thoughts, first of all, of the speech that his sister gave, and then what he makes of that of Kamala Harris.
I think it was a very relevant speech, and I had the privilege of actually seeing it before. And one of the things, and there's a link between what she said and what Kamala said. And in one of her speeches, she mentioned that when she asked Obama about partnership, Obama said it was possible for Africa and America to have a partnership because we have interests that align. But she refined her question, and she posed a very interesting question that, will America be interested in Africa without our resources? You know, at the end of the day, we all know that there has been a scramble for African resources, you know, for over centuries. What else are we putting to the table, or are we bringing to the table beyond our natural resources? What innovation of the youth are we harnessing? How are we contributing to the digital revolution that the world is witnessing? And I think that was also an area that Kamala talked about and gave examples. In all of these speeches that we hear from our development partners, at the end of the day, it comes back to us. What do we want from this relationship? What do we want from this partnership? Are we always going to be the continent that is continuously being exploited, that is continuously at the receiving end of global aid, of global development policies, or are we also going to innovate, especially because Africa would be one of the biggest continents in the world? We're already one of the biggest. Our population is said to increase to about 4 billion. 1 out of every 4 human beings is going to be African in a couple of years from now. These are important questions that our leaders must begin to think of. Often it looks like we're always firefighting.
All right, thank you so much, Aisha, who is interacting with a number of Ghanaians at the Black Star Square there. Details will be on our website and then also in subsequent bulletins. But we're going back to Komla Klutse and to Parliament because it's been about 4 days after the NDC MPs defied the party's decision to approve President Akufo-Addo's nominees to the appointment of the disappointment of the party and many Ghanaians. We know that the MPs are earlier, as of this moment in Parliament, possibly to consider 3 revenue bills which government is seeking to pass for an IMF bailout. The minority, despite what the party describes as sabotage and betrayal, say they will reject these bills that the government is seeking to pass. The NDC has already instituted a probe into the matter to fish out its members who crossed carpet to vote to approve the ministerial nominees, while pressure is mounting on the MPs themselves to render a public apology for their actions. So the bills that are yet to be laid before the House for passage are the tax amendment bill, the excise duty bill, and then also the growth and stability levy bill 2022. Komla Klutse, thank you for joining us. We also know that one member of parliament died a few hours ago, probably late last night into today, but we'll come to that. First of all, talk to us about what's happening in the House and how the NDC side of the House are reacting to the shock they gave themselves and the nation on Friday.
Well, a good number of them are still distressed about what transpired on the Friday, and I mean, in terms of the recovery, the process is quite slow because of the public reaction that has greeted the disappointment they gave to their base. But many of them are equally indicating that, well, I mean, days have passed, they need to move on. I mean, ultimate responsibility needs to be taken by all of them, and then they move on. They have about 2 major things they need to do, which lies ahead. The consideration of the controversial CI that is before them, or that's yet to be brought before the House, and also the 3 revenue bills that you just spoke about. The minority, we are aware, the official position of them, which we cannot confirm whether it's also a position of Adabraka. Adabraka here means the party headquarters, is that they are averse to this revenue bills in the form in which they are. They are equally averse to the controversial CI, to which now there's been a lot of talk between them and then a majority that they could come to a certain compromise of the sort. We know, for instance, that the majority leader has expressed a lot of misgivings also about the CI. If it's anything to go by, will the majority and the minority be going into a space where they'll be trading off? By so doing, they will come together to oppose the CI in the current form that it is. Well, my understanding is that there's been some concession, but the concession that has been made, the minority is insisting that it should be amended and laid. If that is what it is, it means that both of them will come together and oppose what the Electoral Commission is bringing. But if that's not it, then it will come back to the numbers. If it's about numbers, like you did say a bit early on, the majority as we speak now, one member, the Kumeru MP, has just passed on. It means that they have 137 members, inclusive of the independent member. Right. The minority has 136 speaking now. Now the 137 that they have, the NDC MP, the NPP MPs may not necessarily be depending on the Dome Kwabena MP.
Right.
If that's anything to go by, it means that the majority may not be going the route of having a vote on this. But on the issue of the bills, it's a simple matter of a voice vote. If the voice vote goes their way, right, and then it's challenged, fair deal. If it's challenged, then it means that there has to be counting. Then if that is done, that is where it might become a problem. But if the Friday vote is anything to go by, will the minority be trusted by the second? That we do not know, even though they are versed to these two major issues. But we are aware that they would have to take a decision on the bill before they rise the coming Friday, the 31st, where they'll be going for holidays.
Okay. Komla Kluche, thank you very much for that report from the House of Legislature Parliament. Thank you so much. Komla Kluche is our parliamentary correspondent, staying in the House though, but this time around, let's speak to former Member of Parliament for Tamale Central and lawyer himself, and you know, who was one of the key voices in the House when it came to issues of legislature. I'm talking about Inusah Hussaini. Honorable, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us on TV3.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dazi. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I'm sure, were you also surprised by how things turned out on Friday, where the minority, you know, did not do as the leadership of the party expected them? And what are your thoughts on how things turned out?
Surprise will be an understatement. I was astounded. Because we know how Parliament works. People get into Parliament on the ticket of political parties, unless, of course, the person stands as an independent candidate. Now, Article 97(1)(g) gives an indication that if you are elected into Parliament on the ticket of a political party, and you seek to cross carpet you seek to join another political party while in Parliament, your seat will be declared vacant. Or if you seek to be an independent member, you no longer ascribe to the ideology and philosophy of the party on whose ticket you stood into Parliament, you lose your seat. And how do you become an independent member? You become an independent member if you refuse to go with the decisions of the party, with the position of the party that on whose ticket you came into Parliament. And so it's a very serious matter. And we have all known that minority members in Parliament, you are the bulwark against the impunities of a ruling government. So if a government decides that it will not reduce the size of government and empathize with the people because of the dire economic situation in which the country is, it is the duty of the minority to help compel government to act to assuage the suffering of the people. And one way the NDC thought it could be done was to vote en bloc against the nominees, because in Parliament...
but Honourable, there is a concern here about the decision of the party as against the democracy we want to practice, where in as much as these are members of a political party, don't they have the right to express their independent thoughts or their thoughts if they are at variance with what the party says?
I've just told you that if a member elected on the ticket of a political party wants to be an independent member of parliament, then he must go back and contest as an independent member.
Okay.
Go and read Article 97(1)(g). Read it. I mean, you will see clearly that it is not possible.
Okay.
And that is why when 85 members of the ruling party passed a vote of no confidence in the finance minister, and there was a censure motion on the floor of the House, and the vote was to be taken on that censure motion, the MPP wrote to the caucus in Parliament to ask them to absent themselves from the vote. And then all the members of the caucus, including the 85 who passed a vote of no confidence in the finance minister, absented themselves. That is how party works.
Okay.
I mean, they had independent minds. They could say, no, we have already indicated that we don't want the finance minister, so we are going to join the minority.
Right.
But they didn't do that. Yes.
That's a fair argument. And finally, before you take leave of, and very briefly, we know that they are going to pass, or they are yet to vote on these 3 bills. We are hearing the NDC want that rejected as well. Are you confident that the NDC will do as expected?
I have told the minority members of Parliament that they have a duty, a Herculean task, to work hard to rebuild the trust and confidence that the generality of the supporters of the party have in them.
Okay, so you didn't say yes or no, but thank you for your time this afternoon. Idrissa Hussein, former member of Parliament for Tamale Central, who joined us to have a little conversation about what happened last Friday about the voting. And talking about voting, 3 new bills are before Parliament for a debate and then subsequent voting. We know that already it's generated quite a controversy. Now, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, has called on government to stop the introduction of what it calls or has described as obnoxious taxes, arguing that businesses are already overburdened with high taxes and interest rates. First Vice President of GUTA, Clement Boateng, says nuisance taxes are creeping back in various forms, suffocating businesses and throwing many of their members out of business.
What we are saying is that businesses are already suffering, businesses are bleeding, and so therefore we are not in favor of government, laying this bill before Parliament for consideration. Already, just this year, that VAT was increased to 15%. So if you add the COVID levy of 1%, national health insurance of 2.5%, get fund of 2.5%, now VAT is about 22%, which is already adding costs to doing business because it has a cascading effect on businesses. Just this evening, the policy rate has been increased. An additional 150 basis, has been added, which has gone up to 29.5, percent. Not to talk about the numerous levies and taxes that we are paying at the port. So businesses are really suffering, and so therefore we don't see the need, for government, to lay this bill before Parliament for consideration. Government must try as much as possible, to find other means of raising, revenue to meet its obligations, but not to always look at the port and try to burden, the business community. It is not fair. It is not fair. So we are appealing to parliamentarians not to consider this bill at all, and even to pass it, because if Parliament pass this bill and it's implemented, it is going to add an additional cost to businesses, and so therefore it's consumers and customers that are going to suffer. Government must try as much as possible to cut down its expenditure. Government, must try as much as possible to come out with new measures by trying to, rope in a lot more people to widen the tax net, so that government must try as much as possible, to look somewhere to get resources. Each and every year, the GRA meets its target. So what is the need, therefore, to burden the business community again by trying to come out with this excise taxes on fruit juices and then carbonated water and other items? Guta is against it, and so therefore we are appealing to the parliamentarians not to pass this into law.
Looks like it's going to be a very, very tough few days in Parliament, but trust us to keep you updated as and when it unfolds. Our reporters are dotted around the country to give you updates of every story and when it comes up. Stay with us. This is still Midday Live on TV3. There is more to come.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. One bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Open your eyes. People fall and they rise. Make you no worry about the things you know we change, the things you know we do today. You go do them tomorrow.
Wow, this girl's got talent. You too can change your world. And it's affordable with Airtel Tigo data bundles.
Bring your dreams to life with the best data bundles only on Airtel Tigo. Dial *111# now.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
The COVID-19 vaccine is safe and effective. I encourage all pregnant women to go in for the vaccine. And to add to this, I have a beautiful bouncing baby girl who is a year old now.
Remember, we are not safe until all eligible persons are vaccinated. Protect yourself, your family, and your community. Get vaccinated now.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathy Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathy Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathy Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chesena me ankasa me period no say problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chesena nya asem ketewa na me point no mo hwe me modem no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro me fire no ene ma won kra mienu foforo kwa na mkwan mu a eba
head everything yourself me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama nura ene ne ho idea watimi asori anante.
That's end point for you. Hello. Hey, ohwehwe what che. Okay. A free bra wo di end point wa dance. Me call you no. Me Johnson sema na enkoyie person na my nyina na magina sebema na me be for there e kwa de nyina jaresa. You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathy Clinic. I'm free.
When the sun rises, there is hope. While this hope lingers on, the citizens look up to the government, the economy, the national development agenda, and everything in between. On Ghana Tonight, it's our utmost priority to bring you insightful conversations on the economy, break down the biggest issues while setting the agenda for transformation and national development. The big and important stories are treated from the human interest angle, while the facts and the figures are painted with precision. So now, let's cut the convention and start the conversation here on Ghana Tonight. I am your host, Alfred Okamsi.
Ghana Tonight shows Monday to Friday at 10 p.m. on TV3.
Welcome back to Midday Live on TV3. Time now for business, and Pakwesi Asare joins us in studio. Pakwesi, what's good?
Hello, Martin. Good afternoon. I thought you'd be at the Black Star Square.
No.
You had to be
I
here.
wasn't privileged enough to get there.
Ah, so. Too bad, too bad. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the very latest in business news. Now, government's last Treasury bills auction was undersubscribed by over 700 million cedis as it failed to meet its 3.2 billion target, I beg your pardon. Director of Business Operations at Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, thinks the delay in Ghana securing an IMF bailout program could account for the undersubscription. He notes the public is evaluating the Treasury bills market.
The general public is now carefully evaluating its options as to continue lending to the central government, since its immediate relief is not coming soon. And since the Minister of Finance and His Excellency the President himself had said there could be dire consequences if we don't get the IMF relief at the end of March, I believe that the reason why it is undersubscribed is that the public are evaluating to say, the people I'm lending to, they said they will get some relief at the end of March. That relief hasn't come. So just maybe I should be cautious about giving them more money. I think this trend will stay until we get a clearer picture of what is happening from the government.
News this hour, the cedi appears to be making significant gains against its major trading currencies as lenders reportedly hold first creditor meetings to discuss possible debt relief to support Ghana's bailout program with the International Monetary Fund. The local currency is selling at 12 cedis 13 pesos on the retail market. That's representing nearly 2% appreciation of its value on Monday. Now, the cedi has largely remained stable from last week following the government's announcement that China is willing to offer financial assurance to Ghana. Courage Boti is lead researcher with GCB Capital.
Across the market, it looks like there is some momentum over the last few days, if not the last fortnight, really. It's obvious we are quite close to getting a board level approval now. I think the obstacles on the way turn out not to be the bilateral creditor committee so much again, but more of our local parliament and how those three tax bills will be passed. With China coming on board, attending the first creditor committee, considering the request to co-chair, the reality is that the things that have driven the cedi down from last year, the picture seemed to not have changed so much, even if the dynamics are different. From last year, reserves were much higher than they are now, but the cedi is relatively more stable this year than it was last year. So I think some of these little developments kind of speak to the relative stability we've seen. Of course, 22% depreciation year to date is quite significant.
Right, and I'm sure you're aware that Parliament is about considering some three new bills, new tax bills, and already we've had resistance from a number of labor organizations. We've heard from the players within the oil industry who are quite critical of these new taxes. Let's get some reaction from Richard Amohene, who's a tax expert. He joins us live on Midday Live. So a lot of people, including Guta, had commended government for taking away what they call nuisance taxes. Now, what they're saying is that in place of nuisance taxes, government is now introducing obnoxious taxes. What's your reaction to Guta's concerns about these 3 new tax bills? I'm afraid we're unable to hear him. We're going to go for a short break and return with some more stories. For more business news stories, do also visit our website. It's www.3news.com.
No matter where.
The Capital is always tuned in. In their offices.
You actually played it before, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. In their retail centers.
Even in their busy marketplaces.
Fortunately, that's some kind of like what? And in their cars.
Even in their homes and in their rooms, they listen. The Capital is always tuned in.
Yes, we run the city. Hill 3 FM 92.7.
Your Urban Lifestyle Radio.
Join Giovanni and AJ Sapon on 3FM Drive 92.7 Monday to Friday from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. We run the city on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio station.
We are on a mission promoting access to quality health and education through the power of our media space. Since 2014, we have made great impact. TV3 mission now drives Ghana's quest to break barriers and provide access to inclusive and quality girls' education, together with women's maternal health services. Our mission to address the needs of the socially excluded has won the admiration of many. Indeed, TV3 Mission gets you the results. Mission is live on TV3 News 360 every Saturday and Sunday. Supported by Star Ghana Foundation, with thanks to Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office.
When it comes to the world of sports, what does complete mean to you?
When my team scores at the end of a 30-plus passing sequence, just like Pep Guardiola style.
When someone beats the buzzer with a shot from the logo, like Steph Curry.
Dominating opponents and punching my waist to a knockout like Africa's greatest boxer, Azumah Nelson.
Running so fast that I can afford to celebrate midway through a 100-meter race and smash the world record like Usain Bolt.
Hold up, what makes all of these sports complete is the screen. This is where you get access to all the extensive highlights, analysis, and insights.
So do join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. live on 3FM 92.7 as we serve you the best sports buffet and most satisfying in the sports world. The 3 Sports team will come together to review, preview, and analyze the latest in the sports world here on Sports Ultras.
Hello, time now for the sports here on Midday Live with me, Thierry Nyan, and Chris Huting has expressed satisfaction with the 2 games against Angola, which puts the Black Stars on top of their group table. He also explained why Thomas Partey did not feature in the game in Luanda.
So the strategy defensively was Angola have some very good technical players, especially in the attacking areas. So we knew that defensively that we would have to be good and we would have to be solid. But because they're such a good, expansive technical team, we wanted to use the spaces, utilize the spaces, and attack fast. I thought once Angola scored the penalty, it gave us a lift. It gave us inspiration to get back into the game, and it's normal that Angola dropped maybe a little bit deeper. But the game is 90 minutes, and I think we've proved we have a big spirit in the team, and in both games scoring late goals. Angola are a very good side, and we are very happy to have 4 points from the 2 games. We wanted to win the game. You have to approach every game to win it, and sometimes you have a setback, and the penalty was for us disappointing, but we reacted really well, and this shows a team that have good spirit and good quality to get a result. Now, Thomas has some small issues. He has some small injury issues, and we felt it was too big a risk to start him.
We have our eyes as well on the national under-23 team, the Black Meteors. They are set for a final showdown against Algeria in the Africa Under-23 Cup of Nations. Now, Ghana secured a 1-all draw last Friday in Annaba and need a win to qualify for the tournament to be hosted in Morocco in June and July this year. The Black Meteors have been preparing in Kumasi since returning from Algeria on Saturday with victory, the main goal of the team. Having missed out on the 2020 Olympic Games in Beijing, the team is bent on returning to the Africa Under-23 Championship, which will serve as a qualifying tournament for next year's game in Paris. Now, the Black Meteors winger Ernest Nyama has urged the fans in Kumasi to come in their numbers and support the team against Algeria on Tuesday. They drew 1-1 in the first leg of the Under-23 AFCON qualifiers last Friday.
I felt really good. It was amazing feeling on the pitch. This is my first time wearing the national team jersey, and I'm very proud. I know the city of Kumasi, they love football. They really watch football a lot, and we want everybody to come here, support us, and hopefully we're going to win and qualify.
And on that note, we bring an end to the sports here on Media Live with me, Thierry Nyan. Entertainment is up next.
Well, thank you for that, Thierry. Let's get on to some entertainment stories right about now. Now, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris met with a group of musicians, including up-and-coming artists that represent the new generation of Ghanaian and Ghanaian American entertainers yesterday. The meeting formed part of her effort to engage directly with young people and highlights the dynamism and creativity taking place across the continent.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris met and interacted with young Ghanaian singers, songwriters, and other key actors within the creative arts space. She was particularly impressed with the amazing talents, sounds, and extraordinary creative works being churned out by Ghanaian talents and how they've impacted lives.
But the creative work that is happening on this continent, as represented by the work that is happening here, is extraordinary in terms of the international global impact. Now, this is not a new phenomenon, but it is something with all of the current excitement about the evolution of culture and music and artistry, that is very significant. What is happening here is changing the way people kind of enjoy themselves and think of their expression.
She urged them to keep churning out amazing works to inspire the world.
You are speaking in a way that around the globe people hear songs that are rooted in concepts like freedom, individuality, and self-determination. This is the work you each have done. And so I feel so honored and privileged to be here and to thank you for all of the creative work. It takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of sacrifice to be an artist.
Her visit also put the spotlight on the growing creative economy and underscored the strong links between our nation's artistic and diaspora communities. The Vice President was joined by actors Idris Elba and Cheryl Lee Ralph.
And it is in spaces like this that artists find their voices, perfect their art so that they are able to bring it out to the world. And we are very happy to be here with you today as we support each of you in your individual art, as artists, as singers, as skateboarders, as those who have the imagination to say we're going to fly to the moon with our art. We encourage you, and it is wonderful to see you in a space like this, where you take the time to...
Now, some Ghanaian talents who were invited to interact with the U.S. Vice President have called for more of such engagement to spotlight their talents and their work to connect them to more opportunities.
Seems like she's very happy with what this space is doing. It's called the Freedom Skates Park, and it's just allowing young people to be creative, to be free, to come here to express their creativity and give them a space to do that. And she seemed very excited about it. There were a lot of superstars and people here who were speaking fast slangs to me. So I just said, yeah, please, okay, sure, okay, hamburger. Then I just, but it's good vibes.
Yeah, well, what did you pick generally from this session?
Man, you know, it's like, for me, if I'm being honest, I just see how much potential young Ghanaians have, and unfortunately how much our youth is being let down. So these small things really make me feel like, okay, maybe they shouldn't just give up. Okay. Maybe there's a chance, you know.
We need things like this, you know, Ghanaian producers, Ghanaian, you know, creators. Happen to also meet the Vice President, Kamala. Yeah, I feel like this should happen more often. And big shout out to Sandy as well. She takes care of the skate park. She put all of this together as well. So yeah, big shout out to her.
I think definitely support, because you might have the talent and everything, but when the opportunity is put on you, when the spotlight is put on you, you have to be ready for it. And so if we get support and we are building ourselves and we are able to push our music, like the music we do is great, films, our art, our sports is great. We just have to have the opportunity to be put in the spotlight so that we can shine. So support, opportunity. If people come and push us and give us the platform, we can definitely shine.
Now, U.S. Vice President Her Excellency Kamala Harris, who is currently in Ghana for a 3-day visit, has published a list of her favorite African songs. Now, the 25-song playlist features tracks by 10 Ghanaian artists, including Black Sherif, Sarkodie Amare, and Kwame Eugene.
Better say you know try to. Better say you know. I'm no man for that for you,
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has shared a Spotify playlist of 25 songs she has been listening to in the past few months while traveling through Ghana, Tanzania, and Zambia.
Can you hear this song? If you hear this song,
Sarkodie's 2022 banger, Countryside, Kweku the Traveler by Black Sherif, Kwame Eugene and Rotimi's Cryptocurrency, and Fanti Love Song by Menta of FOK and Boys fame made it onto the list.
And that's all we have for you by way of entertainment news. Up next is some international stories. Martin?
Yeah. Thank you very much for bringing us the latest in the world of entertainment. International is up next. And 3 adults have been killed in a shooting by an ex-student at a school in the U.S. city of Nashville, Tennessee. The attack took place at the Covenant School with students aged 3 to 11. The 3 pupils who died were all aged 9. Police said the suspect gained entry by shooting through a door at the school. A search of their home led to officers seizing more firearms. The suspect has been identified as 28-year-old Audrey Hale. Officers have identified there have been some confusion about Hale's gender identity, with police initially describing the attacker as a woman and later saying that Hale identified as transgender. And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you very much for watching. Our website, 3news.com, has many more stories for you. Do have a good afternoon. And as always, stay positive. I am Martin Asiedu Date. Bye for now.